Hey everybody, I'm Matt Murphy, and today I'm at the Black Sheep Inn with Laurent Bourque.
That's
How
right.
are you doing, man?
I'm very good, thank you.
And you just performed in front of a very ecstatic crowd.
Yeah,
who
it was good.
have all been very excited on your new release, what we talk about. And so when you came up with these songs, what was really your driving motivation? Because you were in a couple of different bands beforehand, right?
Yeah, well, I was in one band specifically, and we did a lot of stuff, played a lot of shows, made 3 records, and I mean, no one really, I don't know, we never did anything like huge, but I mean, because it was just like I was 12 years old when I started it, you know what I mean? So we played shows, and it was just for fun, you know what I mean?
That's cool, and that's the spark.
Yeah, that's the spark, yeah. And it has Jamie Chronic, which played all the drums on my record, and yeah, well, these songs, I mean, I don't know. I knew I wanted to write a record after I stopped being in my old band. I had no idea what it was going to sound like, and I just started writing tunes, and they're all on there, all the first ones.
Yeah. Go pick it up on iTunes, I imagine.
On iTunes, yeah. There's a couple shops as well in Ottawa, Montreal, and Vancouver, and Toronto soon as well.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
And I guess the standout track for me was All You Beautiful Girls. It definitely has a really powerful melody towards it with the glockenspiel and also accompanied by the electric guitar.
Yeah.
And tonight as you performed it, you did it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
You were telling me earlier about how you like to change the arrangements of songs so that the live feels a little bit different. Yeah, and so like when you record and when you perform live, do you want to make that different sort of atmosphere?
I definitely do. I've done shows where I like have like a strings and horn section, like all this,
Really?
and like in a big like rock setting too. So it's really strange. Like the songs sound, even on my first show in Montreal, like first solo show ever. We had horns on this song called "At Your Door," and there's like no horns on the record, but it's just more interesting that way. I find it's always weird when I buy a record and then I go see the band and there's all this stuff missing, you know what I mean? Because they put so much time into the recordings. I like to do the opposite, where I change, the arrangements and add things and take out things, just because it's more fun, Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And you grew up in Ottawa, Ontario, in the Glebe, I guess, area, right?
Yeah.
And that area is known for being, I guess, culturally diverse and having a lot, like a powerful, perception of the arts. And so, what was it like to grow up in that environment and help you, develop your musical sensibilities?
It was great because I just met a lot of musicians that were about my age. You know what I mean? As I was saying, Jamie, he also grew up in the Glebe. We were in the same hockey team for a long time, and one day when I was about 12, when I started the old band with my brother, who was 14 at the time, and we had just recorded something in our basement, and he was just like, "Oh well, I just started playing drums. Let's just do it," and then we went from there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you moved 4 years ago to Montreal, where everyone knows that the Montreal music scene is like an ecstatic place where, there's so many Sam Roberts Band, Arcade Fire, so many bands that come out of there, and so to develop your music sensibilities in Ottawa and then transfer that and I guess get tested in Montreal. What was that like?
It was good. It was good.
Was
I
it
mean,
like
it's
music boot camp in a strange way?
not really. The scene in Montreal is really open, and it's really great. Just like Ottawa has a fantastic scene. There's tons of great bands there.
But very difficult to get recognized.
It's way harder to get recognized. It's way harder to start playing bigger shows. It takes a lot more time. In Ottawa, because I experienced both cities. In Ottawa, it's much easier to move along quicker. But there's more opportunities in Montreal in the end. So it's
If you can take your graft to Montreal and make it, then I guess you can make it anywhere, really.
Yeah, you could.
That's pretty cool. And you also go to McGill University where you study poli-sci?
I do, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How do you, do both? Where you...
Great question.
Yeah.
I don't sleep. No.
Never?
It's tough, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's difficult, but it keeps me busy in a good way because it keeps me just doing things constantly with my time. Because if I had too much time on my hands, I'd be just sitting in my room, playing on my Strat and doing whatever, So being in school at the same time helps me to drive forward more.
And I guess those different assets, because I find that sometimes when musicians focus solely on music, they lose sort of, it's kind of like the second album syndrome where a lot of musicians go through, where you're writing your first album your entire life, but the second one you write in 3 months?
Yeah.
And so I guess it's great to have all these different assets. for your new songs, some of them you played live, and you said you might be recording them this summer.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, that would be amazing to have another record out so soon. But
definitely.
To go back and actually write more, do you have a different perception, or is it just an evolution for you?
It's it's a different perception in terms of the songwriting, because I just feel like I'm changing all the time. You know what I mean? And thanks. I just feel like the songs are changing, and I'm changing as a songwriter, and I'm improving in certain ways. But it's also some people that would like my old stuff won't like the new stuff as much. But also the new people will like the new stuff. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's really great though. And in terms of like the second album syndrome, it is, worrisome for a lot. Yeah, definitely, because like you said, you do have your whole life to write your first record, even though these are the first songs I've ever written on this album. Like I wrote these 2 years ago as I was recording the album, so it didn't really feel like I was writing my whole life just to write this record,